if I can cook dinner for a big group of people, like my signature thing is usually chili because it's easy to make and you can make it in like giant batches,
Yes.
But any chance I get. Huh?
Do you put beans in your chili?
I do put beans in my chili.
Travis just died a little bit on the inside.
Damn it.
I know. But it's not spaghetti sauce.
Yeah. All right. That's fair. Yeah. Yeah. It's, and like I always say, however you cook it, I'm going to eat it. It's going to be delicious, wonderful. But, I draw
I'm going to judge you a little bit.
I'm going to judge you a lot bit. I'm going to judge. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, we'll stay out late to gastrobate and hang out with our friends. We'll share a few good microbrews, the good times never end. From seaside to the mountains, we'll travel many lands. Eateth of their pub cuisine and hear their local bands. We'll drink it from a bottle in a can or what's on tap. We'll rate each brew as we do with fairness and a map. Spirits are up, we'll fill our cup, the wind is in our sails. We'll drunkenly mix metaphors and travel hoppy trails.
Welcome back to Hoppy Trails, a show where we talk to you about food, beer, wine, craft cocktails, and maybe another category sometimes, maybe a greener, herbal category, and we tie it all together. That's just what we're here for, expanding your horizons.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Travis, and once again, for your listening pleasure, we are bringing in a special guest because realistically, Nick and I only have so much to say. So we bring in other people and we hear what they have to say. Special guest, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi there, I'm Bree.
Now, Bree, you are in the local Monterey area where I am as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I am.
We know each other through wine and enjoyment of life, really, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of everything.
Little bit of everything. And that's why we thought, you know what? Really, the basis of our show is enjoyment of life and all the things that help us get there. I know you love life, and so I wanted to bring you on and say, hey, let's just talk and let's just see where this goes. And we really appreciate you being here. So thank you for agreeing to come on and talk to us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I mean, honestly, when you asked me to be on, I was super nervous and I was like, oh gosh, what am I even going to say? But here we are.
I don't know what to say most of the time either. So
I know. Look at us. I mean, we come on, we just start talking and, here we are, 15, 16 episodes later? I don't even know. I think roughly.
It's wild.
It is.
We'll be saying the same thing when we're in 100 episodes. So
we will. Yeah.
Like, it was easy peasy. What are you talking about?
Well, generally we start off by talking about what we all have in the glass in our hand right now. So, Nick, what do you have in your glass in your hand, brother?
Well, I think before that, let's cheers here. Oh, you're already taking a sip, jerk.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bring it in.
All right.
Excellent.
Ladies first.
Oh, what am I drinking? So this is going to be the blueberry wheat ale from, I believe it's called Sea Dog Brewery.
Oh,
Sea Dog.
And I got it. I think it's Sea Dog. I just got it from the wine house next door. So,
nice.
But it smells like a blueberry muffin, but doesn't taste like a blueberry muffin.
Interesting.
It's good though.
Interesting. So that's a blueberry wheat.
Uh-huh.
How is that on the mouthfeel there? Does it have a lot of wheats? They kind of have that not quite thick, but almost like a silky texture on the mouth.
I would say it's a little bit more silky than anything else, but it's got like a good lingering blueberry palate for sure.
Yeah.
Not too intense at all. Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Sea Dog, I'm not familiar with them. Nick, you have any idea where they're from?
I don't. I was looking them up real quick, but it's interesting. A couple different results came up. So there's one apparently Sea Dog Brewing in they have locations in Maine, New Hampshire, and Florida.
Wow.
But then that's it. So you have a very rare beer. It's hard to get East Coast brews.
That's kind of what I like about the wine houses. They pull in a lot of different like beers and stuff from all over the place.
Excellent.
And so, yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and as we've mentioned before, we talked to Big Sean Mo, Nick, you're and I friend from back in the day. He's in the Colorado beer scene, and as we've said before, one of the things he always talked about was Colorado breweries can't get into California, and a big part of why other states can't get in here is because we're a very big state. And we have a lot of breweries, and so our market is saturated. And when you look at having to get a distributor that can distribute interstate, that costs you a little bit extra versus being a brewery already in state. And so not only having that extra, tax or tariff kind of on your beer already, and then competing with a saturated market is very difficult. And so I do like that despite that, there are certain locations that have gone out of their way to say, you know what, look, we've got to bring in some stuff from out of state. East Coast especially, that had to travel a long way to get here. So I love it. I appreciate it. And we're just getting to experience so much more of the different styles. And, they make it different in different places, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Nick, what are you drinking, brother?
I am, for the ones that are watching video of this, I'm drinking Notion Light from Great Notion. If I don't know if you can read underneath the eagle there, but it says better than water.
Yeah.
I honestly it's funny when I had showed you guys this, I kind of look a little bit dirty water. It's actually pretty clear, but
very clear.
It's like a Coors Light on steroids.
Yeah.
It's just
refreshing.
Amplified. Yeah. Amplified flavors. Very refreshing. Honestly, I love water. You know me, Travis.
Yes,
I
you do.
love water. And
You're
normally I would
passionate
say it's better than water. That's kind of blasphemous, but honestly, I'm gonna agree. This is better than water.
Nice.
If I get away with it, I drink it all day.
So is it an American lager? Is that what it is? Just a good crafty American lager?
It is an American light lager.
Beautiful.
Made with Pilsner malt, flaked rice, and Saz hops.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah.
It's very crisp and refreshing.
Those are classic American light lager ingredients. Obviously, the rice, very good at giving you that extra fermentable without adding too much, real character to it. And so it keeps it real light like that. Saz hop, obviously a classic German lager style. Very good. Great Notion. Nick, I don't think you've ever talked about them before on this show. So they're definitely new to our listeners.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, best way I can put it is Great Notion is like the ASB of Oregon.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. ASB obviously being Alvarado Street Brewing, which is huge in the Monterey area, but not just huge in the Monterey area. They're huge throughout California. They're actually huge in other states. They just released a beer that, I posted a reel including one of the cans today, which will be, I don't know, a few weeks ago by the time this comes out, but that they did with what is the name?
Other Half Brewing.
Other Half Brewing. There you go.
Yes.
And they're out of New York. When I went to Maine for a wedding, right? The guys that I ran into there, Bunker Brewing, they knew about ASB. These guys, they're amazing. Not only are they making amazing beer, which our listeners are tired of hearing me say, they're making amazing beer, but they're also amazing people. They're collaborating with everyone. They're doing that community, lift everyone up type of thing. And we love them.
Great Notion being one that they collab with.
Great Notion being one they collab with. And as you said, Great Notion being the ASB of Oregon, and that they're turning out those beers constantly.
Which they actually have location in California now as well. They have a tap room in Berkeley. And because so many people in California wanted Great Notion beers, they built a brewing and shipping facility out in the Sacramento area to do overnight shipping to California residents.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's
again,
rad.
because trying to sell your beer across state lines is a pain. It is a pain. You can't just be a brewery here and sell it in another state. You need to be licensed in that state, or you need to find a distributor who's licensed in multiple states. It's a whole hassle. Great Notion decided, what's easier? Open another brewery location in the state we want to sell it in. Just brilliant.
Absolutely.
So I am drinking here, and for those who can see the video, you can see that. Beautiful. This is a white wine, and it is from Ian Brand. one of what I call the big three: Oda Nada and Joyce and Ian Brand. Those are the big three. As they were up and coming, they're the younger winemakers, but they're turning out the best stuff in Monterey County and potentially the wider region. And so this one, Ian Brand, I'm going to say this wrong. And Bree, you're going to correct me because you probably know it better. Arneis, Arneis.
Oh, I see. I don't even know. That's for me, like there's so many different wines with different like enunciations, and I'm still learning them all.
Yeah.
And with certain languages, it's just so hard. I want to butcher it. So you
Absolutely.
probably did it better than I did, to be
Who knows?
100% honest.
There's a listener out there who just took their headphones out. They're like, "That's it. That was the last straw. I'm out.
I'm done. I can't do it. What is the wine industry becoming? Who
That's
are these
right.
people?"
But it's a varietal I've never heard of before. This is my first experience with it. We grabbed a few bottles, and it's good. It's really nice. It's a little bit of apricot to it. That kind of nice apricot notes. A little bit tart, but really not that much. It's got a little bit of I don't know, almost a fresh raw almond to it. Just kind of a hint there, and just a really amazing flavor. And it's brilliant. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm gonna knock that down, that little glass there, and then I don't know. I'll break into maybe the stout that's looking at me over in the corner here. We'll see.
That's
See
a
where it goes.
very vast jump there.
Isn't that?
See how it's happening. It's okay.
That's
I
right.
have a cab and this blueberry beer, so
there you go. Yeah, there's no reason to just hit every step in between. Just go from end to end, man. Yeah,
just do it all.
There it
is.
is.
On the edge.
That's right. Now, I wanted to, I was trying to think, I was like, man, do I have a food thing to talk about? And as I was trying to figure out, what am I going to talk about for food? I was putting together this sandwich, and then I ate it, and like just before recording it, I'm like, I'm going to talk about this sandwich right now. It was really good. And so here's what I did. I kept it. It's pretty simple, but made it a little bit fancy. So started off with a little bit of peppered bacon. And I saw somebody on the Instagram, they twisted the bacon before they baked it in the oven, and then they chopped it up. And I thought, man, do you know what that does? Is it gives you a narrower but thicker. I don't know. It gives you a different texture of the bacon when you do it. So I thought, great, 2 slices of bacon. I twisted them up, threw them in the pan, not the oven, and just kind of let it go. And then I thought, well, what else do I have? I've got some tomato, some cucumber, some cream cheese, a little sourdough. Very simple. But then I reached out and I pulled this jar of preserved lemon out of the fridge, and I preserved my own lemon. Lemons off my sister's tree. She's got these lemons that just have the thickest rind on them. And so they're not great for a lot of stuff, but man, they're perfect for preserved lemon because that rind is what you're looking for. So I don't know, maybe a year ago, it's actually probably 2 seasons ago, I took a bunch of those, quartered them up, packed them in a bunch of salt, let them ferment on the counter for a couple of weeks, and then into the fridge. And then with preserved lemon, you grab a piece, and the pulp, right, the flesh, that part you kind of rinse off, and then you're left with that preserved rind. So I took some of that, chopped it up, mixed it in with the cream cheese with a little bit of pink Himalayan salt, a little bit of cracked pepper, use that to spread onto the toasted sourdough, and then layer on some Roma tomato, layer on some thin sliced English cucumber. I took the bacon, I chopped that up and actually put that on the cream cheese first. And then, a little drizzle of some cold pressed olive oil, stack that bad boy up. And let me tell you, that was really good as a sandwich. And it was excellent with the first glass of that Arneis I was having, Arneis. And it just, man, it went together beautifully. And I was like, this is it. This is what I'm talking about. That's my food for this week.
I love that, though. It sounds so good. It's really like the simplest of like little things that you can put together that turn out the best.
Yeah.
Especially those little sandwiches that are like you wouldn't expect, or I guess you could expect, but like you wouldn't normally put those things all in one spot and eat it and be like, oh, that's cool. But with a good like wine pairing, it's perfect.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, and it's sometimes it's that simple thing, and I really started with the when you get that bagel, right? You get the bagel. That sometimes they do the bagel sandwich with the tomato and the cucumber and maybe some sprouts and some things like that. And I kind of just started with that because those are things I had sans the bagel. And I thought, what can I do to kind of dress it up? And I saw that jar of preserved lemon, and that really kicked it over the edge there. It was excellent.
What bread did you use?
I used a sourdough. It's a Watsonville sourdough. Excellent. Generally, they'll do the rounds, but they also make the loaf shape. You can find that anywhere. It's got that yellow label. I'm sure everyone here has seen it. And it is a good
I love
sourdough.
their toast. I love
so
it.
good. So good. Yeah. So that was perfect on that sandwich.
That bread makes a killer grilled cheese. And I've started, like, I'm a big grilled cheese person.
Yes.
And I'll throw anything on a grilled cheese. And like since I've moved, I haven't done anything, but I used to throw all kinds of stuff on avocado, tomatoes, olives. You can do like a whole pizza grilled cheese, everything.
Oh, yeah.
But that bread alone, the Watsonville sourdough, every time comes out perfect. It's amazing.
Yes, it does. They have really, I don't know what they do. One of these times we're going to go in and do a tour of their facility, but man, they are turning out some good sourdough. Absolutely. Love it. Yeah.
Another good one just north is Beckman's out of Santa Cruz. They have some good sour. Yes.
I don't know if I know their bread. I don't know if I know their bread.
Yeah, they're right over by Seabright.
No kidding.
Yeah, Seabright and
Seabright Brewing.
Westcliff. Yeah. Yes, they're right across the street from Seabright Brewing.
No shit.
Yeah.
Bree, you've had their bread?
I've had their bread before. I think they have so they have multiple types, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so I think I had like one of their like seeded loaves before.
Yeah.
And like I also Watsonville, and like I had their seeded loaf one time, and it was like perfectly soft.
Yes.
When you want like a good sandwich that you don't have to toast or anything like that, perfectly soft. So good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now I want bread.
And when you get one of those seeded breads that has the multi seeds, where there's the pumpkin seeds and the sunflower seeds and everything like that, you get a good texture on it, so that you don't even have to toast it, and you get a little bit of crunch here, a little bit of kind of toothsomeness there, and it adds a lot to the sandwich without you having to really do a lot. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There are certain breads where it's like the edges are nice and like kind of, they're not tough is a terrible word for that, but like they're a little bit more hearty, and then the center is a little bit more mushy. I love that, especially if you have like a good amount of sauces on your sandwich and it's all mushy and good together. Oh, blended perfectly.
Getting that kind of not a crunchy crust, but that kind of chewy crust that gives you just a little bit of resistance when you're going through it. 100%.
Exactly.
I love it. Some people with celiac disease right now have no idea what we're talking about, and people who are on, people who are on, what do they call it? Keto. People on keto who just hating this whole conversation.
I can't live that life.
No,
I can't live that life.
Well, and speaking of sandwiches, Nick,
what sandwich?
What did you make on a sandwich recently?
It's been a few weeks, but well, I had made that pastrami, and I ended up slicing it up and everything. It actually turned out really well. I need to find a cut of meat that doesn't necessarily have a big fat strip that goes right through the middle of it, because that ended up most of the slice, because I put it through the meat slicer and everything, and all beautiful thin slices, but it had a fat strip down the middle of each one, which you don't see me really complaining here. But when you have a concentration of fat like that, personally, I like to grill it up a little bit to kind of help render it down and make it softer on the palate.
Sure.
And so that's what I did, is I threw a bunch of slices on the griddle along with the bread, and just built pastrami and cheese sandwiches. Unfortunately, I didn't have any kraut, but I didn't have rye bread either, but I had sourdough. But
there you go.
They turned out great. A little Dijon mustard in there, and they were, oh man. So I need to make another pastrami. I actually have the brisket. I have all the spices to make the brine. I've just been dragging my feet the last couple of days. So I'm hoping that either tomorrow or Friday, I will get that thing in a bucket of brine to sit for 2 weeks.
Let me ask you, brother, what cheese did you put on that sandwich?
So there was a combination. It was just whatever I had on hand. I typically buy the Tillamook sliced cheese that come in the small packages and stuff. So I have on hand like their pepper jack, their provolone, and their Havarti. I love Havarti because it melts so incredibly easily.
Yes, it does.
But then I'll also mix in some provolone to just kind of add a little bit more of a cheesy funk to it, because the Havarti is
Get a
very,
little
very mild.
funkiness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, yeah, so like Monica's had the pepper jack on it. Mine had a mixture of Havarti, provolone, pepper jack. The ones that I made for my parents, they just had the Havarti or provolone. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Havarti, I feel like Havarti is an underrated cheese that gets neglected.
I was just about to say that, yes.
It does though. It has so many good flavors to it, but it also like people are like, nah, I'll just go with provolone.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, provolone, Swiss, excellent cheeses. And they've got their provolone has almost a nuttiness to it. And that funk, right? It's got that funk, whereas Swiss, I feel like will have a little bit of the nuttiness without the funk. You know what I mean? Both great cheeses, wonderful on certain things. But that Havarti, it's got a wonderful smooth flavor, that smooth texture to it. It's really good for building in a lot of different things, man. And the combination Havarti provolone on some pastrami, that sounds great, man. That sounds excellent.
And again, I love that it melts so perfectly. Like when you pile it on, put it down on top of like a pile of hot pastrami on the griddle, it literally just melts down into all the nooks and crannies of those slices of meat and everything. So
yes,
so those turn out pretty well. And I normally I would do it on like a gas griddle or whatever, but this is at my parents' house. It was a countertop, one of those electric griddles that you use for making pancakes.
All I have is one of those like George Foreman grills.
Yeah, like a panini press kind of thing. Hell yeah.
Yes, exactly. My old roommate got it for me for Christmas because I was like, I want a panini so bad. And he was like, I got you. And so for Christmas,
look what I got you,
George Foreman.
Yes.
And I make myself, it only fits one, and I can make myself a sandwich, and I'm Gucci. I'm great. It's wonderful.
Yes.
But it's not like cooking on like an actual griddle.
You know, but when you need one sandwich, it gets the job done.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, and it's funny because last episode we had Julio on. Julio, man, that guy has story. We're gonna have him back on. He's got stories for days. So many interesting things. And one of the things I remember listening back to the episode that I didn't catch when we were doing it, man, Nick, he throws a little bit of shade about the pellet grills. Did you hear him? What he said? He's like, we're smoking the things and we're using real wood, Nick. We're using real wood. I was just like, oh man.
I'll admit I'm using easy bake ovens, but hey,
easy bake oven, baby.
When I got to run a 20-hour smoke overnight and everything, I ain't staying up, sitting on it. I'm going to go ahead and
doing the trick, then whatever.
Exactly.
To be fair, Julio's not running that smoker either. He's got a guy who's running that smoker. And I'll tell you what, all day long, if I had a guy running my smoker, you're damn right, it'd be post oak and almond wood is what we'd be running out there if someone else had to sit next to the fire, for real. But I say that to say, Bree, listen, you've got the George Foreman, and it's making the sandwich. It's doing the same thing as my flat top. It's doing the same thing as Nick's. Rock and roll. That's how you get it done. Yep.
I still got a panini. Damn, I gotta bust that thing out. I haven't used panini press probably since we moved. And that was a good Christmas white elephant gift that we scored. That was probably one of the best white elephant gifts ever.
Yes, indeed. Well, and Bree, I'm going to put you on the spot right now because you didn't have time to prepare. What's something that you cooked recently that you thought, you know what? People should know about this.
So I'm a snacky person. Mm-hmm. And so for breakfast, one of my favorite things to make is rice and black beans with a fried egg on top. And that'll be my whole breakfast with some like hot sauce or something. But the other morning, which was like different from what I normally do, I made like it's not a bruschetta, or bruschetta, whatever it is. But I bought myself a big thing from a baguette from Costco, cut it in half, did balsamic, put a fried egg on there, an avocado, and some tomato.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's literally the best thing I've ever had in my entire. Oh, and it's and some basil.
Yeah. Oh,
So basically, it was just all like, I guess it's caprese.
Yeah.
I'm saying that wrong too, but still, like with a fried egg on top.
There's no judgment here, but that sounds
the most
excellent.
beautiful thing I've ever made in my entire life. And now I'm like, I want to eat that every morning.
I love it. Nick, right now you said, look, no judgment about the pronunciation. Mateo just took his headphones off and he's like, I can't believe I was on that show.
Threw him against the wall.
The way they just said bruschetta and caprese.
Is it not? I don't know how
we're
to
done.
say it.
We're done.
I'm
no,
sorry.
that's all right.
I'm sorry.
No, Mateo's all full of love. We love Mateo. He'll forgive.
We should have him back on and just, use an episode to talk about words that Americans have. Italian words.
I'm just like, what's this? Oh, Mateo's jumping on right now. Mateo has some words for brie.
Let's
go
patch
ahead,
him in
Mateo.
right now.
Let's patch him in. Here we go.
It's okay. I would completely understand. Is it what is it though? What's the right pronunciation? Is it bruschetta?
Here's the thing.
Isn't it?
I worked in an Italian restaurant. When I say worked in, I was the head chef of an Italian restaurant. And I also worked in another Italian restaurant. I know. Fucking crazy, right? Yeah. They were like, you look like you can handle this. I was like, yeah, I probably can. Yeah. Restaurant's not around anymore. Not because of me, unrelated reasons. But bruschetta, I think, is the correct way.
Bruschetta. Okay, well,
I think it's bruschetta. No, you said bruschetta. Yeah. 100%. You nailed it.
And then caprese.
Caprese.
I think it's caprese.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's the deal. So that's how I said it. That's how I said it, and I was the authority in the restaurant I cooked in, so that's how it was. I might have been 100% wrong. I know I cooked a bunch of stuff wrong. Who knows? We'll see. That's it. But that sounds outstanding. Sounds like a great breakfast. Sounds like something that's just
it was great.
Simple, easy to put together, and just hits all the points. Yeah. Very good.
You get like the salty, savory herbs, everything, and then obviously the bread. Like the bread's the main thing, obviously.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I moved into my new apartment and I was like, I want to do something weird.
Yeah.
And so I did it, and I fucking enjoyed. Sorry, I enjoyed
it. That's totally okay. This is an adult audience. If kids are listening, I think we've discussed this before, but if kids are listening. I mean, by all means, if you want to listen, go right ahead. But your parents can't blame us.
Yeah, no, 100%. This is a show about alcohol. You have to expect it's an adult topic. We're getting into adult topics. I mean, unless
very true.
Certain countries, I think it's if you can see over the bar or what have you. We'll ask Mateo; he'll tell us. But actually, I think he did tell us. I think Mateo told us that back in the day, because there's not an age limit. That on his way, did he say on his way home from high school that he used to stop into that craft brewery and that's why he's been a fan? So I think that's what it was.
Maybe. Yeah, I think so.
So if you're in Italy, we just, bleeped brie for you because you can drink a beer, but you can't say fuck. Jesus.
Whoops. You can't say fuck.
No.
You can't do it. You're not old enough yet.
I think it's a different word.
Oh, true. Very true.
Yeah, what is it? Oh, did you see? When I tried to think of it, I was like, you start with this, you do the hand like this, and then you say something like a fuck or something like that. I think that's how you do it. That's how you do it in Italian.
Okay, Peter Griffin,
nailed it. I nailed it right now.
If
I didn't nail it, if I didn't nail it, hit us up on Instagram or email. Contact at hobbytrailspod.com.
It's apparently fanculo.
Fanculo.
Wait, I feel like that's in a song.
Is it?
Culo.
Oh,
in Spanish, culo means like butt.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it means asshole is what it means.
Yes. Beehole.
I learned that working in kitchens, actually.
I'm learning all the things today, and I've worked in restaurants for a long time.
We're here to educate. Is really what we're here for. We're just here.
This is a whole lesson.
People come here to learn. Is why they come to the Hoppy Trails podcast. Really.
If you're not learning something from listening to us, then we're failing at our jobs.
We're failing. I don't know what I'm doing here. Realistically, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I'm just here because somebody sent me a link.
Wouldn't that be crazy if all three of us were just like, wait, you didn't send the link? I just got who's sending the link?
Who sent
it's like Mystery Science Theater 3000, where just like the link comes in and we all have to click it and come on and record, but we have no idea who's controlling any of this
or what's going on.
Wow.
God, that was a throwback reference. Listeners, any of you, if you remember Mystery Science Theater 3000,
Yes.
hit us up on Instagram or send us an
And
email.
If you're not, you're of the younger
hobbytrailspod.com.
generation. It'll be something more along the lines of Black Mirror on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here like I don't know what you're talking about.
Bree, your
Mirror,
homework after this episode is to look up Mystery Science Theater 3000.
I'm gonna look it up right now just so I have it in my search. Mystery
Science Theater 3000.
Theater.
It was.
Oh my gosh.
It was a show. It was a show, certainly. Well, listen, I'm not going to get into that because that's not what we're here about. You want to know about
that's
90s
for Doom
stuff?
Gen to talk about.
I was going to say, go hit up Doom Gen. They'll talk to you about 90s stuff. That's not what we're here for. Hey, everyone. We were having so much fun that we totally forgot to throw to trail reports and promos. So before we get to what we are here for this episode, trail reports and promos. All right.
Hey, Hoppy Trails. This is Craig calling in from Larkspur, Colorado. This city, or I guess town as you would call it, is nestled between Colorado Springs and Denver, Colorado. Here every year, if you find yourself in this neck of the woods, you'll get to enjoy a Renaissance fair where there is a ton of good food and great drinks, as well as just overall pleasantries and merrymaking. Should you find yourself here, you will be delighted to know that they have a very good choice of amount of ales and overall other beers. I myself in particular upon the red ale, which has a good initial bite and then a more subtle aftertaste, which also goes really well with if you find yourself enjoying a turkey leg or maybe a sausage on a stick. When it comes to the beer, there is a good level of choices that you have. Like I said, I enjoy the red ale, but there's also a brown ale and as well as some other more domestic flavors that I just tend to not really go for. But that's not to say that if you don't enjoy those, you should most certainly have that. The brown ale does also do well with a turkey leg, but it's not, again, what I would be looking for should you come here. But I think the most important piece is just the atmosphere overall. You can do knife throwing, you can do axe throwing, and as well as ninja star throwing, which is my personal favorite. And there's just, everyone is in costume. It's a great atmosphere. There's family. There's just overall a lot of camaraderie, and as well as just general pleasantries where everyone is just acting as if they were here this time. So I hope that if you find yourself here in Colorado during the summer month, you will make a time to come and enjoy what is the Renaissance Fair in Larkspur. Thank you. I hope that this trail report was informative, and I wish you the best. Bye.
Are you a new parent trying to find your way?
Or are you thinking of becoming a new parent and want to know what to expect?
Or do you not plan on having kids but just want to know what it's like?
Nobody without kids wants to know what it's like.
I'm Travis.
I'm Stephanie.
And we have just the show for you.
You, Me, and Squee is a new podcast where we explore the challenges of being new parents and everything we learn along the way. We'll talk about our experiences, different parenting philosophies and trends, giving our own perspectives, and talking about what worked for us and what didn't.
Let's face it, a lot has changed since our parents and grandparents were raising kids. So we're all kind of figuring out this new frontier for ourselves, and it can feel pretty lonely. So come join us for the journey where sometimes we'll laugh, sometimes we'll cry, but we'll always be real with you.
You, Me, and Squee. It beats listening to your childless aunt give her 2 cents.
Or any of your aunts, really.
Drunkenly mix metaphors and travel Hoppy Trails.
Bree,
A little bit.
when we were in our pre-roll, we're, doing a little get to know you, right?
Mm-hmm.
How'd you get here? How'd we all get here? All of this. And you threw out that you had kind of an interesting path. And so we want to talk about that path. You're in wine now, but you didn't start in wine. And
I did not start in wine, no.
And we want to hear about it. How'd you get into this? I don't know, man. How'd you get into where you are? Where'd you start? And who's Bree deep down?
Who's Bree? On the inside.
And while you get started, just real, and while you get started, I'm just gonna crack this. Oh my god, do you see that condensation on this bottle? My god, just
sweating, waiting to be opened.
Isn't that a sexy bottle right now? Let me tell you, just precipitation.
Is that
quivering.
Like a Rorschach on there?
I mean, a little. I mean, it's yeah, a little bit. Why? What do you see, Nick? What do you see, my brother?
I see a Rorschach test.
Oh, you nailed it. That's what it is. You nailed it. You're not a lunatic. Okay. This what I'm cracking right now.
That's up for debate.
Well, I mean, this test doesn't say you're a lunatic. There are other tests, but this one doesn't. I'm about to crack from Eel River Brewing. And Eel River Brewing, I grabbed on a road trip recently that everyone will hear about, I think, in the near future. Not going to get into it now. It'll be coming up. Anyway, Eel River Brewing, amazing place, amazing people that you'll all learn more about. If you happen to be able to check them out, please do. This is called Raven's Eye Imperial Stout. It is a 9.5% Imperial Stout, and I'm about to crack it. I haven't tasted it once yet. I've been holding on to it for a while, and it's just a beautiful beer. So I'm going to crack this open. And Bree, once again, who is Bree?
Who is Bree? Oh gosh, where do I start? I've been in service industry for the longest time, honestly, but I think the biggest industry that I was a part of for 4 or 5 years was cannabis. And like, I fully engulfed myself in that stuff. Like, there's so much to know, so much to learn. There's so many things about cannabis that like we don't realize goes into it.
And cannabis, for our listeners, cannabis is a close cousin of the hop. So we're all familiar with the hop. Our listeners will not know anything about cannabis. So I have to just start from it's a relative of the hop. And that's all there is to it. Anyway, Bree, you were going to tell us about cannabis.
I think coming from a world where, I was a bud tender, then I became a store manager. I did a lot of working, like learning about weed and all that kind of stuff. And anyone who knows cannabis knows there's like terpenes. There's things that make it taste a certain way. There's things that make it do a certain thing to you. There's lots of little avenues to go down. And so when I decided to leave that industry, I took like a month off or so. And then I got my job at my current position, which is I work for Joyce Wine Company in Carmel Valley. And
wonderful winery, one of the big three that I mentioned.
Yeah, I came in with zero wine knowledge. I didn't know anything about wine, but realized fairly quickly that it's very similar in growing styles, how people can manipulate the plant to give them what they want out of it. I wouldn't say the effects are the same, but like, when you taste wine, you taste, I taste blackberries and leather and stuff like that. Whereas cannabis is the same way, where it's like you taste lemon and skunk.
Yeah.
Citrusy.
Spray,
Exactly.
There's a lot of different like attributes as far as that goes. And so it was a really fun industry to like come into after having worked in the cannabis industry. And seeing how they kind of line up with each other a little bit more, while still being very separate and different. But yeah, I've had a taste of almost everything as far as industries go.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because when we look at cannabis, wine, beer, they're all very similar in there are the characteristics that are produced by the plant, and there will be the different varietals, and cannabis is often called strains and what have you. But so there are the different characteristics that they genetically are predisposed to. And then the growing conditions can obviously change that, the climate, the soil, the watering, all of those things. And so that'll give you that starting material. And then when we talk about beer and wine, a lot of times, you start with, what's in the hops or this and that. And so you get those phenols, those esters, those terpenes, as you will. And then also in the fermentation process, the yeast is going to put off certain phenols and esters and like that. And similarly in cannabis, with the curing process, that can affect the terpenes and the phenols and the esters and those, what will give you the not only the effects but the aromas and tastes and everything like that. For any of our listeners who are not into the cannabis scene, how much variation is there, and is that something that you see as similar on any scale to wine, beer, things like that?
I think that there's so many different attributes to all of those things separately. I mean, cannabis, you can have, say you have like a plant and you have a lemon tree close to that plant. You can actually get a plant to mildly taste citrusy because of that. And there's certain ways of farming in these cannabis farms that will cause certain flavors to come about and stuff like that. Um, and it can even be as simple as getting out of the cannabis and everything like that. Like if you had a tomato plant with cilantro like growing next to it, your tomatoes are going to taste somewhat like cilantro, And so I don't know,
Yeah.
100% how that goes with wine varietals. I think wine varietals mostly just have their own characteristics without an outside effect, unless you're introducing new French oak or you're introducing, certain yeasts, or you're introducing a malolactic fermentation.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like there's certain things with wine that you can manipulate the grape a lot and make it taste a certain way. Whereas cannabis, certain strains already taste a certain way, but you can really kind of mold them organically through just the growth process.
Yeah. Yeah.
As far as beer goes, I'm not 100% sure how that goes, but
Yeah.
it's weird.
No,
It's
very
really
cool.
weird. It's to think of. I think that was one of the first questions that I had for my boss and my coworkers was like, okay, well, cannabis has terpenes. Like, what does wine have? If wine has all these flavors, like if wine can taste like blackberries, are there like blackberries nearby, or like, how are you making it taste like blackberries if it's a grape?
Yeah.
And it just naturally does that. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's one thing, because grapes have been cultivated for so long and then separated different areas and selective breeding and all of this. And grapes really have such a genetic variation that they're producing all of these different flavors that you're like, oh man, it does. As I said, that the wine I'm drinking, it has that apricot to it. And it's just because it started producing the flavonoids that apricots produce. And it's just this amazing thing. And because we've been cultivating it so long, we've been able to get such a variety, which now we're starting to see in hops, because we are doing a lot of that selective breeding and cultivating and that intentional breeding. And the same with, with cannabis, where we are getting like, you've got your blueberries, you've got your ones that are more like berries and more citrusy, and some that are woody and spicy and this and that. And honestly, I'm talking out of my depth. On the Hoppy Trails podcast, our cannabis expert is Nick. And so
I know what you're talking
I
about.
defer to Nick's expertise.
No, it's been a while, but since I've grown, but I do miss it though. It is a lot of fun. But I didn't really experiment too much, other than the whole idea of modifying the plant to have it grow outwards rather than upwards and be more bush-like, so that it gets more sun coverage. But I have heard about some of the things where like although I think in general, terpenes, or the variety of different terpenes, are what when it comes to different strains, are what kind of commanding that different flavor that you get. But yeah, No, it's something enjoyable, especially like when chefs, they incorporate the different flowers that have different terpene profiles and everything to particular dishes, where it kind of makes those terpenes shine as well.
It's really interesting to like talk about terpenes because they don't even just produce like a flavor or a smell or anything, but they also produce an effect.
Yep.
Yes.
So you have like limonene or whatever. It's been a while since I've thought about any of this.
I mean,
But you know,
all that.
it gives you, it gives you like a certain kind of feeling as well, you know, and it's so on top of the THC alone, you're also getting a little bit of energy, or you have myrcene, which is going to make you a little tired, maybe give you a little bit of like a munchy need. Which is interesting when it comes to like thinking about it incorporating with wine. You know, like, I don't even know how to explain, I guess.
You know, here's the interesting thing. I'm going to be 41 this year. 41. Man, saying that.
God, you poor guy. I'll be 42 in September. So a few weeks later.
That's one thing. As old as I get, Nick's always older.
I finally hit the number, the meaning of life.
The meaning of life.
You did.
I remember back in the day. And the funny thing is, I talk about back in the day, the generation before us, they're like, well, let me tell you about back in the day. When we were in our heyday, they would try to smoke some of our weed and they go, my God, this weed's like 100 times stronger than what we used to smoke. Oh, I know you guys used to smoke a bunch of leaves and twigs. So you guys weren't smoking weed. I don't know what you were smoking, but it came in a brick and had seeds in it. And that's all bad. But back in our day, the funny thing is back in our day was when strains were really starting to be kind of isolated and becoming popular and like that. And so I remember the first time I was like really learning about, and this is, more than 20 years ago, learning about like, oh yeah, there's like, first of all, indica and sativa have different effects, right? And just learning about that alone. And that was almost revolutionary for the general weed smoking public. And, talking to people about like, no, man, this one's motivational weed. And people were like, the fuck are you talking about? There's no motivational weed. You smoke weed and you go to Taco Bell and then you like take a nap. Like that's how weed works, but it really is. It was like, indica, right? Indica was going to knock you on your ass and give you the couch lock, and sativa was going to get you up and kind of get you moving and give you inspiration. And that was the like, man, if you're smoking sativa, that's going to get you writing music. That's going to get you doing art, all of those things. It was giving you that motivation and that energy. And that was really kind of the extent of the science of it. Was there's indica and sativa. And Bree, as you're saying, like, we've broken it down further. We've studied it so much more over the past couple of decades. It's like, no, this one, like you've got your THC, your CBD, your CBN, all of those things. But then we've in recent years, like you said, been learning about like, yeah, but these actual like
it's the terpenes,
flavonoids and the terpenes and everything like that,
dictate
those are giving unique effects. And once you start really looking at those, it's like, well, now you're painting. Right now it's not indica sativa. Now you've got this whole color palette of these things that are different, and now
Happy
paint a portrait
trees.
with it. Yes.
Happy trees. Thank you, Bob Ross.
Yes.
Well, and so what someone once explained to me, and it sticks in my head still, is like sativa and indica are the highs that you're going to get. So you're either going to have indica, or you're going to have sativa, which is more sunshine, right?
Yes.
But the terpenes determine the level of that high that you're going to get. And so with indica, like, okay, like your myrcene's like up here and you have a couple of little like I don't know, limonene or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And so like that's going to indicate like, okay, you'll be this amount of like creative, but you're also going to be sleepy and munchy. Like you're going to want to go to Taco Bell and then maybe like play some video games.
Yes.
Whereas sativa, you're going to have this and this, and you're going to be like high energy, crazy. Like I want to paint a whole building, like,
yes.
But that was probably the best description that I've ever gotten of what terpenes were. It was the volume. It's the volume of the high that you're going to get.
Nice. I like that. I like that descriptor. I like that.
Right? right? It's cool to know that like with certain things, and so I actually turned into for like a split second, which I don't do it anymore because it annoys bud tenders. But I was like, so like, is this one pretty high in myrcene? And they'd be like, what? And I'd be like, oh, you don't know. Sorry, never mind.
Yes.
Ignore me.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like once you understand the breakdown of it all yourself, it is pretty cool to be able to like figure out what strains are good for you and this, that, and the other. Because for a long time, like I couldn't do sativa at all, and I still am. I can't. But there was a couple of strains where I was like, oh, I can smoke this, and I'll be like, perfect.
Yeah.
My anxiety won't come around or anything like that. And so, yeah, cannabis was weird. Cannabis was cool. And I think what I love about both the industries alone was just like there's so much to learn. And it's like both of them are ever growing industries. One's a little bit more chaotic, cannabis, but like, I mean, wine, there's so many varietals, there's so many things, there's so many flavors, there's so many certifications that you can get. There's so much going on in both of those worlds that it's like that's why I was attracted to both of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is like no matter what, like I'm always going to be learning something. And so yeah. Weird.
I love it.
Weird.
Excellent.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And it's so interesting just the similarities that we have in these categories, right? We've got, your cannabis, we've got beer. A lot of it is coming from these days, right? I mean, in the past decade, is coming from the hops. And the hop is as I mentioned, it is a close relative of cannabis. They are very close relatives to each other. And so they have a lot of similar characteristics. And wine, even though it is far removed from these two, it is very similar in that you can manipulate the characters so much. There are varietals that have been separated and selected for you. You talk about like being in Monterey. I'm going to talk about Pinot, right? In Monterey County, Pinot is our thing here. But we do all kinds of different varietals because we have all these little microclimates. So we can do some Cab here, we can do some Chardonnay there, we can do some, all kinds of different things we can actually do here. But speaking of just the Pinot Noir, you can take that Pinot Noir and you can move it all around Monterey County, and you are going to turn out a very different wine because so much of it depends on your climate, your sunshine, the temperature, the what's in the soil, right? You go down to by Pinnacles and you go to the Chalone region, and they're very that just kind of rocky and sandy, and you get that mineraliness. And then there are some parts that are kind of deep down in the bottom of the valley where it's like, man, this is rich soil. This is that fertile, black, beautiful soil that you grow anything in. And man, those grapes, they don't have to work hard at all. And they have a very different character to them. You know what I mean? And then, so it's such an interesting thing. And it's the same with cannabis. It's the same with hops. And they're so interrelated. And I don't know. I find it very fascinating. All of them. And it's a brilliant topic. Yeah.
I feel like they're all such like really strong, resilient plants. Like you have, like you were saying, like in the Chalone AVA, it's all limestone rich soil for the most part, and so you get a little bit of like a minerality. You get that higher acidity. There's not going to be that fog up there, and so you get that like pretty cut and dry. Like this is what you're getting. Wine doesn't have to dig, or it has to dig for water, and so there's not very much water retention, whereas in the Santa Lucia Highlands you get a lot more of that water retention because it's lower. You also get that fog in there, so you get these bigger, juicier fruits, which even like I did a tasting today that had both of our Pinots on there. That was like, one is very, very earthy, very like grown in the limestone rich, since you get that higher acidity. Then you have the Santa Lucia, which is, you get this a little bit more robust, a little bit more elegant. But also even with the same winemaking style through both of them, they're such different wines, And so when it comes to cannabis, the same thing goes. You know, they're very resilient plants while still being temperamental in certain ways. Like they know what they want, and if you give them what they want, you're going to get these beautiful plants, but they're so different from each other.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about when it comes to like the differences between all of them and like regions and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It really is. It really is. Nick, as the consumer of cannabis on our podcast, what is your favorite varietal or strain that you're currently working on?
I don't know. I don't necessarily have like a favorite. Like I said, I go in looking for specific things. Like for instance, actually the ones that I typically use now are of a CBD THC combo. So it's more of a much mellower kind of feeling. It doesn't, I can go about my day and do all kinds of things. Probably at a little bit more pep in my step, but
Yeah.
but I definitely like that. But yeah, I typically stick with like the things that help me go to sleep at night, just because a little bit of ADHD wants to keep my brain running all late.
Mm-hmm.
And that allows me to continue to wake up around 6:30 in the morning to start my day out. But
Yeah.
I'm a huge CBD person. I think that CBD is like
totally
the medicine for all things.
Interestingly, and I'm not here to get into the various laws and regulations in different states and everything. And as I say, anytime I bring up the laws, don't take legal advice from a podcast. If you're taking legal advice from a podcast, you're fucking up in your life. So don't do that. But
to be fair, we're
my
all existing
understanding-
in states where it's completely legal. So
that's the thing.
True. Very
Currently,
true.
we are in free states, right? We are in places where it is recreational, not even just a you can get it medicinally,
thing,
which
yeah.
used to be. California was medicinal for many years, and we're recreational now. I always thought California would be first. We weren't. I think we were fifth or something like that.
We were fifth or sixth, I think.
Yeah, I was like, Colorado was first. I'm like, the fuck did Colorado come from? What is going on?
DC hit it before us, I'm pretty sure, which was
I
way
swear.
weird.
And I was just looking around like, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing here? Can we all just get it together? But so we're all in legal states and what have you. My understanding is that there are many, I won't say many because we don't have that many. There are several states that it is not available recreationally, may be available medicinally or maybe not, but that CBD products are. And there are some states where none of it is. So listen, know the laws in your state. Don't do what we do because you think we're cool. We're not that cool, and we live in states where it's okay to do it. But there are some states where CBD products are fully legal, where
and sold unregulated too.
Sold unregulated, and where marijuana is
walk into a gas
station,
CBD product. Granted, they probably not very good CBD products, but they're there at the gas station.
Yes.
So the thing with that is that's hemp CBD.
Yes.
But to get actual like the good benefits of CBD, you want that THC in there, and it's going to be in the states that are regulated for the most part.
That's actually an interesting point that I'm glad you brought up, is that it is it's the combined effects together that are what make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And that sometimes taking the pieces individually does not, you know what I mean? It's that 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. The 1 + 1 = 3 sometimes. Right. And is that what you're talking about with the CBD and THC?
Basically, yeah. So I mean, you can take them both separately. You can take. I'm not saying that hemp CBD doesn't have any benefit at all. I'm just saying that like it definitely has a lesser benefit than if it is a cannabis CBD and not a hemp CBD, because they are two different plants.
Yes.
And so this was like a huge learning curve for me when I started at the dispensary. I was like, but wait, like everyone considers cannabis hemp. And so you're still getting the benefits of what CBD is, But in order to have it like fully affect you in the right way and like push, like be strong, I guess be stronger, is have the THC to accompany it and activate it.
And this is a concept that I feel like what's something I learned in the past, I don't know, maybe 5 years or so, that I actually learned that there were those, not cumulative, but man, I don't know what the word is, but
Molecular.
they work together to create the better benefit. And so it's very interesting because if you look in a lot of various culinary items, there are certain things where it's like, okay, well, you have these greens like your spinach or your kale or what have you, and they have a lot of minerals, vitamins, things like that in them, and a lot of them are not bioavailable unless you have some kind of a fat in there. And so adding, if you're me, some bacon or a ham bone, right? Or for others who maybe don't consume meat, none of you are listening to this show, so maybe it's a friend, not a friend, just someone you know.
An extra virgin olive oil, in
little extra virgin olive oil in there, and
there
just
you go.
some kind of a fat, whether it's a plant or an animal fat, whatever it is you choose. That fat is what makes those vitamins and minerals bioavailable to you, so you're actually getting it from there. And so it's something it's not this unique thing to cannabis. It's not something that's new or out there or anything like that. It's something that we see all over all of the things that are a part of our life. And I had never thought about it. And like I said, within the last 5 years is when I heard about this, and like, yes, no, realistically, these things, once they combine, you're able to fully appreciate the effects. Whereas just on their own, you really don't get the benefit as much. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Such a cool thing.
Very interesting.
Another thing is if you partake too much, if you have CBD in some form, that can counteract some of the effects that you're feeling in a negative way.
I have experienced that in the fullest form.
Yeah.
I unfortunately ate an edible one time, which I can't do edibles normally.
Wait, hold it. Wait, like, real quick. Every story about how somebody had too much starts with, so I was eating an edible, right? That's how it always begins.
I have a lot of those.
That's where everyone goes.
Oh my God.
No, but go on. Tell us what happened. Yeah.
And so like I will also like back when I was even working in the dispensary, I was not the biggest smoker. I wasn't like the biggest like stoner at all. I actually more recently started consuming more, and that's more to like sleep and stuff like that. But God, there was one time that I ate an edible. It was a 5 milligram edible, and I was like, oh, I got this. It's such a small amount. Thought it was so cool, but I also like was preparing to go to bed. And I woke up at probably like 2:00 in the morning, like sweating. I need to go to the hospital. I lived by myself. I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And then I forgot that I had like this little, I had my CBD mix that I had.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, CBD. I feel like that's going to help. And it wasn't until after I did that and like took some CBD and then mellowed out, the next day I talked to one of my friends about it. And she's like, yeah, CBD like not completely counteracts it, but definitely like brings you back down. And so ever since then, I'm like, I have my vape pen and I have my CBD vape pen.
Yeah.
And if I ever get too twisted, I'm like, I got CBD though. So
there it is. There it is. Kind of round some of the sharp edges off it, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Like you're still a little stony baloney, but you're not like panicking.
Yes.
You know?
Oh yes. You know, it's very interesting. So here's the deal. If you're getting into edibles, we all know, anybody who's done it, you've done it. Edibles are not a joke. When you're smoking buds, even now with the super high THC, you're smoking some flower, you're going to take a hit, you're going to get a little too high, and you're going to be a little too high for like 15, 20 minutes, and you're going to start to mellow back down, and you'll be high for a while.
Call 911. Don't call 911.
It's not the same. Don't do it, because
don't do it.
They don't have time for that shit. They don't. They're just going to laugh at you. But with the
Phone
edibles,
a friend and they'll talk you down.
with
Drink
the
some
edibles,
water.
Yes,
Drink
drink
some
water.
water.
Hydrate.
with the edibles is where you can cause a problem, because when you smoke the flowers, it hits you and you feel it. And when you're eating edibles, it takes a while. And what always gets people is, man, I was supposed to have a bite of this brownie and I ate the whole brownie, or I ate this edible and nothing
Not
was
feeling
happening
it.
30 minutes later. So I
Ate the
thought,
rest.
I'm not feeling anything. I'm going to eat 3 more. And then it all goes
2
bad.
hours.
Or hear me out. You eat the edible when you eat a meal. That way,
Yes.
your stomach's like, oh, I'm being fed. Let's metabolize this. Boom. 30 minutes
the
and it's in.
absorption. Metabolize correctly. Yes.
Yeah.
Man, do not, if you ate an edible and you're not feeling it, don't just eat another one. You're going to have a bad time.
You're going to have a
You're
bad
gonna
time.
have a bad time. You're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
And that's like, for me, like my first time ever eating edibles, I was like, it was a Rice Krispie treat in high school that my friend made. And I ate the entire thing thinking you were supposed to. And he didn't see me eat the entire thing. And then later on was like, wait, where'd you put that edible? And I was like,
where'd I put it in my belly?
It's in my
It's an
stomach,
edible.
my guy. You know? Did you not want me to eat this?
Right.
And
I
he
thought
was like,
this was a food product.
Yeah. He was like, Bree, you're fucked. And I was like, and I have a super slow metabolism as it is. And so I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
And probably like 3 hours later, I was like on the couch. I was fine because I was in high school and I was like a stoner-ish.
Yeah.
But I was like sitting on this couch and I was like, oh man, everything's moving real slow. I should probably go home.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, I'm good. And then people would talk to me and it would be in slow motion. And I'd be like, you know what? Just don't.
Yeah.
Just don't talk.
This is not working. This is not working out. This is not working out.
I can't do it. It's fine. It's whatever. Oh my gosh. Edibles.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Edibles. Know what you're consuming. Know how much you're consuming.
Tread lightly.
And wait it out. Just give it time to work. Give it time.
Just know how to handle it. You know, like drink your water, eat your food,
key.
Put your phone away. Don't call the cops on yourself.
Do not call the cops on yourself. Do
not call the cops.
Have
the
snacks.
Ambulance won't do anything for you. Have snacks ready.
Official advice from Bree and the Hoppy Trails podcast is just be cool, man. Fucking be cool.
Just be cool, bro.
Be cool, man.
Why are you freaking out, man?
I mean, whether you're consuming cannabis or alcohol, hydration.
Be cool.
Hydration. Be cool and hydrate. Stay hydrated.
Always water. Always water.
Oh, yeah.
Which actually goes back to what we talked about with festivals, right? What is the downfall of festival goers, right? I mean, you go, it's beer festival, wine festival, whatever it is. People go in, they're underhydrated, they're not eating, all of this, and you just get messed up quick and you have a bad time. That's it.
I make sure that I consume as much water as I do alcohol.
Darn right.
If not
be hydrated, eat some food, right? Be ready to go.
Absolutely.
And if you're eating edibles, man, make sure you're close to a Taco Bell. Real talk.
I'm hitting Taco Bell on the way home, that's for sure.
I'm getting too old for that now.
I love it. I love it.
Just make sure you have food in the fridge.
Yeah. You know, here's the crazy thing. I'm looking up here at the counter, and we've been on here together for coming up on an hour and a half. Doesn't feel like it, just having a good time conversing. This has been a lot of fun. I'd like to do this again. I think that we've got a lot of different things we can talk about. We can go kind of, I don't know, maybe on location, talk to the folks you work with and see if they'd be interested in us doing a deep dive into what you do over there. There's a
very real possibility for that to happen at the end of September.
Oh, yes.
Hey.
Yeah,
I
Nick
will
is
say,
going to be here.
The weekend prior to the chili weekend.
Yes.
We'll be down there. So
yes,
we could potentially come down to Monterey and Carmel on that weekend there.
Yes, we could.
Yeah. Let me know, guys. Let me know. We're looking at harvest in that time. So let me know.
Yes.
ASAP.
Yeah.
If that's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure everyone here would love to chat it up with you guys. And like, this has been a blast. So
one thing that I've found in the beer, wine, cannabis, cocktails, all of this, the industry of enjoying life, really, which is what we do. Everybody's ready to just share what they do. You know what I mean? Everybody is passionate about what we're doing. Everybody loves it. We're here to share. Nick and I, really what we're here to do is just talk to people who are passionate about their craft and
learn from them and amplify it. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk. Hey, here's somebody we talked to who's cool. Go check them out. Here's something that we went to. Here's something we tried. We just love life. We want everybody to enjoy it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get you guys. This has been probably one of the coolest experiences I've ever done. I was so nervous coming into it, but I'm so stoked now.
Excellent. Yes. Well, here's what I want to do, because we're going to throw out, how you can find us, which our listeners should already know, but I don't know, maybe there's somebody new for this episode. We'll do that, but I want to start with this. Bree, do you have anything you want to plug? Where can people find you?
So I am at Joyce Wine Company in Carmel Valley. We're a cute little tasting room in the village. Definitely a good spot to come and kick it and have some wine. There's also the wine house.
Crossroads?
It is about 10 minutes inland from the crossroads.
Okay. Yes, it is.
All right.
So,
cool.
Yeah, it won't take you very long, and their sun's always out. So it's
always
worth
out. It. When it's foggy here, 10-minute drive and it's sunny there. The Joyce tasting room is in a perfect location. As you said, there's the wine house right there, which has different beers and foods and like that. So you can grab a snack while you're drinking your Joyce wine. It's really a cool spot. I go there all the time. I do.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
I love
it. Wonderful spot. And I recommend it to anybody if you're in the Monterey area. Get out there and check it out. It really is a cool spot. And Nick, where can people find us, my brother?
HoppyTrailsPod.com. I should turn that into like a jingle.
It's so easy. It really is. HoppyTrailsPod.com. It brings up,
rolls off the tongue,
every link we've got. It's so easy. You can find us. Our social media links are there, our email, or what have you. We've got a blog, and yeah, man. And I don't know, Nick, if people love listening to us, they're like, gosh darn it, how could I give these gentlemen money? How could they give us money, Nick?
Well, I think we have this wonderful service called Patreon.
Patreon? What is Patreon, Nick?
Well, I think you can subscribe to our content, bonus content.
Yeah. Ooh, and bonus content.
Yeah. And we will send you swag as well.
We will send you swag.
We have stickers. We're planning on doing some other items soon.
Other items.
Ha ha. Much excite.
Yeah, much excite.
Such wow.
But yeah,
such wow.
Such wow.
Yeah. And I mean, realistically, the only thing we have to do from here is just remind everybody to always say yes to the Hoppy Ending.
Always say yes.
Cheers.
Always say yes. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
The preceding podcast was produced by Sequoia Productions, LLC, copyright 2022, all rights reserved. If you enjoyed this show and you're looking for more, or even if you're looking for something a little different, check out the other amazing shows by Sequoia Productions, wherever you get your podcasts, or on sequoia.com.
Hoppy trails to brew until we drink again. Hoppy trails to brew. Keep sharing with your friends. Who cares about which IPA tastes better? ABV are just a couple letters. Hoppy trails to brews until we drink again.
We did not stop for a promo break or anything like that. And so this episode, we're just not going to have one. No trail reports, no promos, nothing like that, because I don't feel like going back and editing one in later. That's real. I'm not going to do it.
We're just going to let it roll. Let it roll.
I love it.